Welcome to today's transformation dive here on Earn Flow Zone, where we cut through the noise and focus on building real wealth and a powerful mindset. Ever feel like you're just waiting for that perfect job offer to drop out of the sky? For a sudden inheritance you didn't know you were getting? Or for that one brilliant business idea that will make you an overnight millionaire, like they show in the movies? You know the scene. The frantic montage of working late, a sudden eureka moment, then bam, millions in the bank. It's dramatic, it's exciting, and it's often the biggest lie we tell ourselves about success. We're all subconsciously hoping for the financial equivalent of finding a winning lottery ticket in an old jacket pocket. And honestly, who wouldn't want that? The sheer fantasy of it is comforting, a delicious daydream. But while you're busy refreshing your bank balance, hoping for a miraculous deposit, or scrolling through get-rich-quick schemes online, real opportunities for growth are quietly slipping through your fingers. This channel is about building financial flow, not just chasing isolated windfalls. It's about understanding that the path to prosperity is less like a rocket launch and more like, well, planting a tree. It takes consistent, almost invisible effort before you see significant results. But the results, when they come, are sustainable, strong, and truly yours. If you're tired of waiting for permission to succeed and ready to start building, you're in the right place. If you're into real, actionable money and mindset content, hit like and subscribe. It helps way more than you think. Seriously, hitting that button is one of those tiny actions that has a bigger impact than you realize on getting valuable content like this out to more people. Drop a comment with where you're watching from or your biggest money habit win, big or small. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success. You open your banking app and flinch. Or maybe you don't open it at all because the numbers are just too depressing to look at. You feel stuck, overwhelmed, like you're treading water in a financial ocean, or worse, slowly sinking while everyone else seems to be sailing by on yachts. You watch others seem to effortlessly climb the financial ladder, landing dream jobs, buying houses, taking fancy vacations, while you're sitting here waiting for your moment, your big break, your lottery win, even if you're too sensible to actually buy tickets. You tell yourself, if you just had more money, a better job title, a different boss, or stumbled upon that one amazing disruptive idea, everything would magically change overnight. You crave the dramatic turnaround, the movie montage where suddenly all the pieces click into place and the background music swells. This, my friends, is the seductive lie of the big win. It's a powerful, comforting story we tell ourselves that tragically keeps us exactly where we are, frozen in anticipation. Think about it practically. You have debt? It feels like an insurmountable mountain, a crushing weight, and you think you need a miracle payment to clear it. Something so massive, it wipes it all out in one go. So you don't chip away at it with smaller, manageable payments because they feel insignificant against the total. You want to save for a big goal, like a down payment or retirement? The amount you could realistically put away from each paycheck feels pathetic, laughably small compared to the massive target amount. What's the point of saving $50 or $100 when you need $50,000? So, you save nothing. You dream of starting a side hustle or building a new skill. The sheer mountain of learning, building, marketing, and potential failure feels impossible to summit in one go. The thought of all that sustained effort without guaranteed immediate payoff is exhausting. So you do nothing. You wait for the right time, which never arrives, the right amount, which is always more, or the right opportunity, which you wouldn't recognize because you're only looking for lightning strikes. The surprising insight here, the myth bust that could change everything, is that this fixation on the massive, immediate big win result is often the single biggest barrier to any progress at all. The myth is that significant financial change requires significant, sudden, and dramatic effort. The reality is almost always the opposite. Significant change is the result of sustained, often small, consistent actions over time. You're not stuck because you lack opportunities. You're stuck because you're dismissing the small ones. You're waiting for a sprint when life is a marathon, built step by single step. It's like expecting to get fit by waiting to lift 1,000 pounds, instead of going for a walk around the block today. The first feels impossible, so you do nothing. The second feels too small to matter, so you do nothing. And that's where the trap lies. Your action today, a powerful first step to breaking free from this mindset, is simple but profound. Notice every single time you dismiss a small financial action or a small mindset shift because it feels insignificant. Just notice the thought, the feeling, the rationalization. Don't judge it, just observe it. In the end, your bank account will catch up to your mindset, not the other way around. Forget the million-dollar idea for now. You've probably been told you need a massive breakthrough, a winning lottery ticket. Please don't rely on that. Or some oath-shattering epiphany to achieve significant financial or personal growth. We are bombarded with images of overnight success. But here's the surprising truth, the unsexy power we rarely talk about. The real engine of wealth, progress, and transformation isn't the single massive score. It's the relentless, almost boring power of small, consistent actions. This is the core principle, the bedrock of sustainable growth, especially when it comes to your finances or building new skills. It's Behavioral Finance 101 applied to your life. Tiny habits, repeated daily or weekly, compound into colossal results over time. Think of it like building a giant sandcastle, grain by grain, or leveling up in a video game, not with one cheat code, but by clearing countless small quests. Your financial journey is no different. You don't need to leap over the mountain in a single bound. You just need to take the next small step up the path, and then the next, and the next. There's a pervasive myth that small efforts are a waste of time. You might think, saving $5 a week? What's the point? That'll never make me rich. Or, learning one new vocabulary word today? Useless. The surprising insight? They are the only way sustainable, long-term change happens. Large, infrequent efforts are exhausting. They often lead to burnout and feel like a punishment. Small, consistent efforts, however, build momentum, reduce resistance, and most importantly, they build identity. You don't become a saver by inheriting a fortune. You become a saver by saving a small amount regularly, proving to yourself day after day that you are someone who saves. You become disciplined by making tiny disciplined choices, not by having some sudden dramatic epiphany. Let's look at some examples. Trying to write a book or create a major online course feels incredibly overwhelming, right? It's a mountain. But writing 500 words today, that feels manageable. The surprising truth? 500 words a day is a full-length book manuscript in less than 6 months. Trying to pay off a huge amount of debt? crushing. But tracking every single dollar you spend for just one day? That's actionable. This one habit, tracking for just a day or two initially, changed everything for me because it revealed where money was actually going, not where I thought it was going. So let's make this actionable for you right now. Ask yourself, what's stopping you from tackling that big goal? Is it the sheer scale of it? I challenge you to identify one area in your life. Maybe it's debt, building savings, learning a new skill, or even just getting healthier, where you feel completely overwhelmed by the size of the task. Now, instead of staring at the mountain, break down the very first, almost ridiculously tiny step you could possibly take. Just one. Could it be opening a savings account? Finding your total debt number? Reading one page of a book? Doing one push-up? Whatever it is, identify that single, tiny step, and then do it today. No excuses. No, I'll start Monday. Do that one small thing and feel the unsexy power of getting started. Vital? Why small is mentally easier. Our brains, magnificent as they are also profoundly lazy and risk-averse when faced with significant perceived threats. And guess what feels like a threat? Big, hairy, audacious goals that require seismic shifts in behavior. When you contemplate overhauling your entire financial life in one go, or launching a side hustle that demands every spare minute, your primitive brain doesn't see opportunity. It screams, danger, too much effort, abort. This isn't you being weak. It's a built-in survival mechanism kicking in, designed to conserve energy and avoid potential failure. Think of it like your brain is trying to save battery life on your smartphone. Big tasks are power drains it wants to avoid. This deep-seated mental resistance is precisely why those ambitious New Year's resolutions, often framed as massive overnight transformations, frequently crumble by February. We bite off a financial Everest, feel utterly overwhelmed by the sheer vertical climb, and the easiest, most comfortable path is always retreat. Back to the familiar, even if it's stagnation. We fall prey to all-or-nothing paralysis because the all feels impossible. But here's where you can strategically outsmart your own wiring. Small actions. They are the ninjas of habit formation. They sneak under the radar of this resistance because they feel less threatening, less demanding, less likely to trigger that internal alarm system screaming about resource depletion or potential embarrassment. Paying an extra $5 on a bill feels like flicking a light switch, easy, low energy. Trying to pay an extra $500 when money is tight feels like trying to move a mountain with a spoon. Impossible. Instantly triggering the "why bother" response. This isn't about willpower. It's about leverage. The surprising insight here is that leveraging this mental quirk isn't a sign of laziness. It's strategic genius. You are hacking your own psychology. You're building momentum not through brute force willpower, but by starting small enough that your brain doesn't even register it as a threat. It's like playing a video game on the easiest difficulty first, to learn the controls before tackling the final boss. You're building positive feedback loops without triggering the internal alarm system that shouts failure is imminent. Consider something like investing. The idea of researching stocks, understanding complex ETFs, or timing the market feels overwhelmingly daunting to many people. It triggers that too hard, don't start response. But starting with an app that lets you auto-invest just $5 from your spare change, that feels utterly doable. It's the financial equivalent of aiming to walk around the block when you want to run a marathon. The myth we often buy into is that you need a massive amount of willpower to make significant financial or personal changes. The surprising truth? You need minimal willpower applied to a small, consistent habit. The power comes from the consistency and the low-resistance start, not the initial Herculean effort. Your action. Identify one financial task you've been avoiding because it feels too big, too complex, or too overwhelming, like creating a budget, tracking spending, or organizing bills. Now, break it down into a step so minuscule, so ridiculously small, that it feels almost silly not to do it. For instance, if it's creating a budget, the step might be just open the budgeting app on my phone. If it's tackling bills, it might be find one expense category on my bank statement. Or even just find the piece of paper with the bill on it. Seriously, make it that small. Do only that single tiny step today. Don't think about step 2. Don't think about finishing the task. Just complete that one minimal action. Try this for a week. Notice how much less resistance you feel, and how that tiny step makes the next one slightly easier. Ask yourself, what's truly stopping you from taking this tiny first step? This one habit of breaking down tasks into absurdly small actions changed everything for me, turning potential paralysis into effortless momentum. Debt? Small payments win. Okay, let's talk about something that feels like a heavy backpack you can never take off for many people. Debt. It often feels like this enormous, suffocating blanket draped over your financial future. You stare at the total balance on a credit card or loan statement, and a little voice whispers, "There's no way I'll ever pay this off unless I suddenly inherit a fortune or get a massive, unexpected bonus." Because that big number seems so insurmountable, what do most people do? They make the minimum payment. You know the drill. Pay just enough to keep the wolves away. But watch as the principal balance barely budges. Sometimes, with interest added each cycle, the total debt can even feel like it's growing, or at least shrinking at a glacial pace. This pattern is the financial equivalent of waiting to get fit by hoping you'll win the lottery to hire a personal chef, trainer, and live-in masseuse all at once. It's the big win myth applied directly to your debt. You're waiting for the grand, dramatic gesture, the lump sum, the windfall, when, in reality, consistent, boring, small efforts are the real debt killers. This is the surprising truth that most people overlook. Every single extra dollar you intentionally throw at the principal balance of your debt, no matter how insignificant it feels in the moment, saves you future interest payments and chips away at the mountain from the bottom up. It's like using a tiny, persistent stream to erode a massive rock over time. It works. Consider the example. You have a credit card looming with a $5,000 balance and a frankly brutal 20% annual interest rate. Your minimum payment might be around $100. Now, imagine you find just an extra $20 a month, the cost of maybe 1 or 2 fewer coffees out or a canceled streaming service you barely use. You think, $20? That's nothing against $5,000. But here's the magic. That seemingly insignificant $20 goes directly to the principal. That means next month, you're paying interest on a slightly smaller amount, $4,980 instead of $5,000. Then even less the month after that. This tiny, consistent action harnesses the power of compounding. But this time, it's working for you, not against you, like the interest usually does. Cause-effect clarity. Less principal means less interest accrues, meaning more of your regular payment goes to principal next month, which further reduces the interest load. You see the snowball effect building? That small $20 can shave years off your payoff time and save you hundreds, potentially thousands, in interest over the life of the debt. The myth is that only large lump sums make a significant dent in debt. The surprising insight? The power of compounding works in reverse against you with interest. But small extra payments harness that same power for you. They reduce the principal faster, meaning less interest accrues next month, freeing up even more of your payment to go towards the principal. Here's your prompt for action, something concrete you can do right now. Look at just one debt you have. Maybe it's a credit card, a personal loan, or even student loans if the terms allow principal-only payments. Find just $5, $10, or $20 somewhere in your budget this week. Maybe you pack your lunch one extra day, skip a spontaneous purchase, or find some spare change in the couch cushions. Hey, it adds up. Make an extra payment, specifically towards the principal, with that exact small amount. Use the option to pay extra principal only if available. See how it feels. It might not look like much on the balance, but understand the powerful principle you've just put into action. You hear you need an emergency fund, retirement savings, maybe a down payment on a house. And the numbers? They just feel astronomical, right? You look at your bank account after paying rent and bills, and the thought hits you like a ton of bricks. I can barely afford coffee, let alone save hundreds of dollars a month. This feeling is incredibly common, and honestly, it's the exact thought that keeps most beginners from ever starting. They convince themselves they need to have some magical amount of enough income before they can possibly save, which often means waiting, well, forever. It's like saying you'll start jogging only when you can run a marathon. It just doesn't work that way. Here's the surprising truth, and it's a powerful one from the earn flow zone perspective. The goal when you start isn't to instantly conjure a massive savings account out of thin air. That's expecting a fully grown oak tree the day after you plant an acorn. The real impactful goal in the beginning is to build the habit of saving and let the magic of consistency and compounding do the heavy lifting for you over time. Think of it as building a muscle. You start with tiny weights, focusing on form and consistency, not lifting a car on day one. Let's look at the numbers, but through a different lens. You want to save $1,000 for emergencies because everyone says you should. Saving $1,000 right now feels impossible. But what if you aim to save $20 a week? That feels a lot more manageable for most people, doesn't it? And guess what? In less than a year, just by consistently setting aside that small amount, you hit your $1,000 goal. Even saving $5 a week, which is less than the cost of many fancy coffees, adds up to $260 in a year. That's a start. That's real money you wouldn't have had otherwise. The pervasive myth is that you need a high income to start saving. The surprising insight, backed by countless success stories and behavioral science, is that you need a saving habit. The amount you start with is far less critical than the consistency, especially when you're just planting those financial seeds. Behavioral scientists have a term for this: triggering action. It's about making the desired behavior so easy and automatic that you barely have to think about it. Setting up an automatic transfer from your checking account to a separate savings account even if it's just a ridiculously small amount, is incredibly powerful, precisely because it requires zero willpower after the initial setup. You decide once, set it up, and then it just happens. It becomes part of the background noise of your financial life, steadily building that habit and those savings without you needing daily discipline. It's the financial equivalent of putting your running shoes by the door the night before. It removes the friction. So here's your concrete action step, straight from the Earn Flow Zone playbook. Find one automatic savings transfer you can set up today. Don't overthink the amount. Make it embarrassingly small if you have to. $1, $5, $10 a week. Go into your online banking right now. Set up that recurring transfer from your checking account to a separate savings account. The amount genuinely does not matter as much as establishing that auto habit. Set it up today. Don't wait for enough. Start building the habit and watch how that small action begins to change everything. This one habit changed everything for me because it shifted my focus from the overwhelming destination to the powerful, repeatable action. You've done the work of understanding your money flow, maybe even started saving a bit. Now the question inevitably pops up. What do I do with it? And right on cue, you hear the word investing. Instantly, images of suited Wall Street folks, confusing charts, and catastrophic market crashes might flood your mind. Maybe you've heard you need thousands just to open an account, or that it's a game only experts can win. You look at the $50 or $100 extra you managed to save this month and think, this is pathetic. What difference could this possibly make? This is where so many people stop, convinced investing is just not for them. Not yet, not with this little. They see their small pile of savings and miss arguably the single most powerful force in building wealth over time: compounding returns. The myth that you need a fortune to start investing is one of the most expensive beliefs you can hold on to. It's like thinking you need to bench press 300 pounds on day one to bother going to the gym. The truth? You don't need a massive starting sum. You need something far more accessible: consistency and, crucially, time. Compounding isn't just about your initial money earning a return. It's the magic trick where your returns start earning returns, and then those returns earn more returns. It's like a financial snowball rolling down a hill, picking up speed and size as it goes. Your small initial push, consistently applied, becomes an unstoppable force. Think about that $100 a month you dismissed. Let's run the numbers, not with some crazy market speculation, but with a modest, achievable goal. If you consistently invested $100 every month for 30 years, and your investments grew at a conservative 7% annual rate, which is below the historical average for broad market index funds, you know what you'd end up with? Over $120,000. Now, here's the jaw-dropper. Your total contribution over those 3 decades? Just $36,000. The other $84,000. That's compounding in action. That's your initial small contributions earning money. And that earned money earning more money, year after year, like tiny financial workers breeding relentlessly behind the scenes. You didn't need to pick winning stocks or time the market perfectly. You just needed to start and stay consistent. The surprising insight here is counterintuitive. Starting early with small amounts is exponentially more powerful than waiting until you have a lot more money, but starting late. Time is your absolute superpower when it comes to compounding. Every year you delay is not just a year you don't invest. It's a year where your money isn't earning returns. And those returns aren't earning more returns. It's like deciding to learn a new skill, but saying, I'll wait until I have 8 hours a day free, instead of starting with 15 minutes today. Those 15 minutes, compounded daily, lead to mastery over years, while waiting for the perfect time often means never starting at all. Stop waiting for the mythical large sum. Your $25 or $50 or $100 today is the most valuable investing dollar you have because it has the longest time to compound. So here's your action prompt, designed to break that paralysis of needing to be an expert or have a fortune. Research one low-cost index fund or ETF. Don't get fancy, just find a broad market one. Then, find a brokerage that allows you to invest with low minimums. Many modern ones literally allow you to start with $1 or the price of one share. Commit to investing just $25 to $50 into that fund this month. Set a reminder. Just start the process. This one habit changed everything for countless people who started small and finished wealthy. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is simply to plant that first financial seed. Welcome to today's transformation dive into unlocking your full potential, not just in your bank account, but in your capabilities. Have you ever felt like you're standing at the foot of a skill mountain, looking up at the peak marked mastery or profitable side hustle, and thinking, yeah, right, maybe next decade? It's easy to feel overwhelmed by the sheer volume of knowledge out there, the endless tutorials, the fact textbooks. You tell yourself you'll tackle it when you have that mythical 8-hour block of uninterrupted time. Spoiler alert, that time rarely, if ever, materializes. We're going to bust some myths about how real learning and growth happen, showing you a path that's not just effective, but actually doable in your busy life. Because true financial growth isn't just about saving or investing. It's fundamentally about growing you, your skills, your mindset, your capacity to earn. This isn't about quick fixes. It's about sustainable shifts that build your financial future brick by brick, skill by skill. If you're into real, actionable money and mindset content, hit like and subscribe. It helps way more than you think, telling the algorithm you want more of this good stuff. And hey, drop a comment with where you're watching from, or your biggest money habit win. Love hearing your stories. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success. Section 7. Building skills, 15 minutes daily. Ambition builders, future side hustle moguls, career pivoters, listen up. You want to start that online store, master coding, become a graphic design wizard, or simply level up skills for a promotion. The initial excitement hits. You research courses, maybe even buy a few books or subscribe to a platform. You picture yourself grinding through modules, hours flying by as you absorb everything. Then comes the moment of truth, sitting down to actually do it. The sheer volume feels impossible. The first lesson is tricky. The second builds on it. And suddenly, the mountain you saw from a distance is right in your face, daunting and insurmountable. So, what happens? You tell yourself you'll start properly when you have a whole free weekend, a dedicated week off, or when things calm down. That mythical block of time never arrives, and the books gather dust. The course subscriptions lapse unused. Sound familiar? This is the big block of time myth in action, and it's quietly killing your potential. People often underestimate the power of consistency. We're wired to think that big results require Herculean efforts, like training for a marathon by doing one massive run every month, rather than consistent short runs daily. This isn't how mastery is built. Whether it's learning a language, a sport, or a new professional skill, The surprising insight, backed by how our brains actually learn and consolidate information. Mastery isn't built in large, infrequent sprints. It's built in small, consistent sessions. Your brain retains information better in focused, shorter bursts. Think of it like building muscle. You don't get strong by lifting weights for 8 hours straight once every 2 weeks. You get strong by lifting for 30 to 60 minutes several times a week, reading one chapter, completing one module, practicing one specific skill or concept for just 15 to 30 minutes daily is vastly, unbelievably more effective than cramming for 8 hours every other Saturday. The former builds momentum, reinforces learning, and integrates the skill over time. The latter leads to burnout, poor retention, and the feeling of constantly starting over. Let's look at a common goal. You want to learn a new programming language for a career change or a lucrative freelance gig. Trying to block out 4 hours feels like scheduling a root canal. You dread it, postpone it, and find every excuse. Committing to just 20 minutes every morning before work? That feels totally doable. You could use that time to review syntax from yesterday, watch a short video tutorial, or solve one small coding challenge. Over weeks and months, those 20 minutes, compounded daily, build real proficiency. You'll make mistakes, sure, but because you're returning every day, you fix them and move on, rather than forgetting everything between sessions. The myth is that real learning requires massive, dedicated time blocks. The truth? Consistency trumps duration. Always. This one habit, prioritizing small, consistent practice, changed everything for me when I was trying to pick up video editing skills for Flowzone. It turned a daunting task into a daily routine. Your action? Identify one skill you want to build for your career or side hustle. Something that genuinely excites you and could boost your earning power. Schedule just 15 to 30 minutes today specifically for learning or practicing one tiny part of it. Not the whole thing, just one bite-sized piece. Put it on your calendar, set an alarm, and treat it like an important appointment. Try this for a week. Commit just 20 minutes a day to that single skill. Ask yourself, what's truly stopping you from doing just 20 minutes when you probably spend more time scrolling social media? Section 12. Wind down, reflective close. So, we've talked about the myth of needing massive blocks of time, the power of small, consistent actions, and how skills are built not in infrequent sprints, but in daily, focused efforts. We've seen how identifying just one skill and dedicating a mere 15 to 30 minutes daily can unlock progress that feels impossible with the traditional someday approach. The biggest takeaway here isn't just about learning, it's about understanding momentum and overcoming resistance. Big goals feel overwhelming. Small, daily steps create a path. They build confidence because you're constantly achieving small wins. You're not just planning, you're doing. The potential long-term benefit of adopting this mindset is immense. That skill you practice daily, those small financial habits you build, they don't just add up, they compound. Just like consistent investing, consistent learning pays dividends over time in your earning potential, your career satisfaction, and your confidence. Imagine where you could be a year from now if you spent just 20 minutes each day building that one valuable skill. That's over 120 hours of focused practice. Think about what you could achieve with that kind of dedicated effort. broken into manageable pieces. It's a game changer. A deeper insight about money, discipline, and growth is this. They are all reflections of your relationship with time and effort. Waiting for the perfect moment, the perfect block of time, is often just procrastination disguised as preparation. True discipline isn't about having iron willpower to force yourself through grueling hours. It's about building small, sustainable habits that make progress automatic. It's about respecting the power of tiny actions consistently applied. It's about understanding that the life you want, the skills you need, the financial security you seek are built not in giant leaps, but in deliberate daily steps. Take that first 20-minute step today. In the end, your bank account will catch up to your mindset, not the other way around. We all have that mental list, right? The one filled with things we'll do someday. You'll start saving someday when you earn more. You'll tackle that mountain of debt someday when you get a big bonus. You'll finally build that online store, learn that skill, or write that book someday when you just have more time or energy. This isn't just casual delay. This big win myth, this waiting game, is a killer of potential, dressed up as strategic patience. It's the someday mindset, and it keeps countless dreams and financial futures firmly locked in neutral. Think about it. You're waiting for some perfect alignment of circumstances, more money, more time, more motivation, before you even start. It's like refusing to walk until you can sprint a marathon. It's a beautiful excuse wrapped in logical-sounding packaging. Oh, I will save, but only when I can put away $500 a month. Meanwhile, months, even years, tick by, and $0 are saved. People often underestimate the gravitational pull of inertia. A body at rest tends to stay at rest, and your finances are no different. Waiting for someday guarantees that today remains exactly the same. But here's where the surprising insight comes in, the one that completely flipped my perspective. Embracing the power of small, consistent steps forces a fundamental mindset shift. You move from waiting for someday to acting today, no matter how tiny the action feels. It's a shift from being a passive hopeful, wishing on a financial star, to becoming an active builder, laying brick by brick. This isn't just about getting things done. It's about a profound internal change. Taking small action doesn't just produce external results. Seeing that tiny balance grow, that single line of code written, that one healthy meal prepared. More powerfully, it fundamentally changes your internal identity. You start seeing yourself not as someone who wants to save, but as someone who is a saver. Not someone who wants to build, but someone who is a builder. Take that saving example. You start tucking away just $10 a week, maybe through an automatic transfer you set up in 2 minutes. Initially, it feels almost laughable compared to your goals. But after a few months, you glance at that small balance. It's growing, slowly, maybe, but it's there. And a little voice in your head says, "Wow, I'm actually doing it. I'm a saver." This identity, this new self-perception as an active participant is incredibly powerful. It fuels further action. It makes you look for other small savings opportunities or feel less guilty about saying no to that spontaneous $20 takeout. The myth, the one we're told all the time, is that you need motivation to take action. You wait until you feel like saving, until you feel like going to the gym, until you feel inspired to build. The surprising truth? Taking action, even the smallest, most insignificant action, creates motivation. Momentum is the engine, not the caboose. Once you start moving, even crawling, the desire to keep going builds. It's like trying to push a heavy box. Getting it moving is the hardest part. But once it's sliding, it takes far less effort to keep it going. Okay, let's make this tangible. Ask yourself, what's one area, financial, personal, whatever, where you've been putting things off until someday? Don't pick your biggest, scariest goal. Pick something that's been lingering. Now, what is the smallest possible action you could take on that thing today? Not the whole task, just the absolute minimum viable step. Could you spend 5 minutes researching how to set up an automatic transfer? Could you unsubscribe from one store email that tempts you to spend? Could you just open the document for that project you want to build and write the title? Write that single action down. That's your today step. Just the action itself. Do it today. This one habit, identifying and taking the smallest possible action now, changed everything for me. Section 9. Tracking. Fueling the momentum. You know that feeling, right? You take a brave step, maybe an extra $10 towards that credit card debt, or you set aside $5 in a jar for savings. And nothing really changes. The debt balance barely budges. The emergency fund looks laughably tiny. It feels like throwing pebbles at a mountain. This is the moment many people hit the wall. They think, what's the point? It's not making a difference, and they stop. This is where the invisible progress hides. And it's exactly where tracking steps onto the stage to become your absolute superpower. Think of it like a video game, where the progress bar only shows up after you've beaten the final boss. How would you know if you were getting closer? How would you stay motivated grinding through levels? Tracking is your real-time progress bar. It's the fitness app that shows you adding an extra rep, even if you don't look dramatically different in the mirror yet. Tracking small actions and their small accumulating results is the secret sauce that makes the invisible progress vividly, undeniably visible. It takes your abstract effort, the intention, the discipline, and transforms it into concrete, undeniable proof that your tiny, consistent steps are absolutely working. Let's look at the example. You commit to finding little pockets of extra cash, maybe skipping that fancy coffee, selling something unused, or doing a small freelance gig for an hour. You decide to track every single dollar you put specifically towards debt reduction or savings transfers. At the end of the month, you tally it up. Perhaps through these tiny, sometimes almost painless efforts, you manage to put an extra $80 towards your debt. Now, $80 might not erase the entire balance. And let's be honest, the first few times you see that number, you might still feel a pinch of disappointment compared to the mountain. But then it hits you. You created that $80. That wasn't random. That was intentional action. Seeing that number isn't just seeing data. It's seeing proof that you move the needle. You took tiny steps, and they added up to $80 of tangible progress you generated. That feeling, knowing you are actively making a difference, however small it seems in the grand scheme, is incredibly motivating. It's the psychological fuel that keeps you from throwing in the towel. Here's the surprising truth, the myth bust, if you will. The common thinking is that tracking is only valuable when you have big results to log. Hitting a major savings goal, paying off a huge chunk of debt, or seeing your investment portfolio soar. But the reality, the truly powerful insight, tracking small, often seemingly insignificant results is essential for maintaining momentum and building the consistency required before those big results ever appear. It's not about documenting success. It's about documenting effort and seeing its immediate, albeit small, impact. It's the daily check-ins that keep you going when the finish line seems impossibly far away. It turns the daunting journey into a series of achievable, trackable mini-quests. Without seeing those small wins, it's easy to feel like you're stuck in place, and that's a fast track to quitting. So here's your action step. Something simple you can implement right now. Choose one small financial or personal growth habit you want to build. Maybe it's transferring $10 extra to savings, paying an extra $5 towards debt, spending 30 minutes learning a new skill online, or even just logging your expenses for the day. Find a simple way to track whether you did that action daily or weekly. This doesn't need to be complicated. It could be a note in your phone, a simple spreadsheet, a habit tracking app, or even just marking an X on a paper calendar. The key is consistency and visibility. Your specific prompt for action today is this. Track one instance of that chosen small action today. Just one. Log it, mark it, acknowledge it. See that tiny bit of progress you just made. This one habit changed everything for me because it shifted my focus from the overwhelming outcome to the empowering process. Now, how do you build those lasting changes we've been discussing? Often, the world tells us it's about the big splash, the dramatic leap, the overnight success story. Welcome to the cultural glorification of intensity. We see the headlines about the multi-million-dollar launches, the influencers hitting viral fame, the entrepreneurs pulling all-nighters before a major deadline. This relentless focus on peak performance and massive, visible results can trick your brain into believing that if your progress isn't a vertical line shooting upwards, you're somehow failing. You look at your own journey, paying off debt slowly, saving small amounts consistently, practicing a new skill for just 30 minutes a day, and it feels inadequate. Where's the drama? Where's the overnight transformation? But here's the surprising truth that the highlight reel culture conveniently forgets. Sustainable, real-world progress, especially when it comes to building wealth, mastering a skill, or improving your mindset, is almost never about intensity. It is, almost without exception, about consistency over intensity. Think about it like physical fitness. Would you rather hit the gym for a brutal 5-hour session once every 6 months, or commit to a moderate 30-minute workout 3 times a week? The intense, infrequent burst might leave you sore enough to post about it, and maybe earn you bragging rights for a hot minute. But it does absolutely nothing to build strength, endurance, or lasting healthy habits. You might as well have spent that time binge-watching a reality TV show marathon. The long-term benefit is pretty similar. The same principle applies, perhaps even more crucially, to your money and your personal development. An intense, weekend-long budget session where you meticulously categorize every expense and build a perfect spreadsheet, followed by a month of completely ignoring your spending habits, is far less effective than a simple 10-minute daily check-in on your budgeting app. That intense burst feels productive, sure. You get that satisfying rush of doing something big. But the daily, unsexy drumbeat, the automatic savings transfer that happens every payday, the 5 minutes you spend reviewing your accounts each morning while your coffee brews, the conscious decision to pack your lunch 3 times a week instead of eating out, is what builds the foundation. That is what creates momentum. That is what ensures small leaks in your financial boat don't turn into catastrophic floods because you catch them early. The myth we need to bust is that occasional heroic efforts are the key to success. The startling reality? Consistent, even minimal, effort builds powerful habits and unstoppable momentum that periodic, intense bursts simply cannot replicate. Those small, repeatable actions compound over time, creating exponential growth in your savings, your skills, and your confidence. It's like the difference between trying to boil water with a single massive bonfire once a year versus keeping a steady, low flame going under the pot every day. Which one do you think actually gets the job done and keeps it there? So here's the challenge. Try this for a week. Look at your schedule. Identify one small financial habit or personal growth habit that you can genuinely slot into your daily or weekly routine consistently. This isn't about adding another overwhelming task. It's about identifying one realistic point of leverage. Maybe it's checking your budget app for 5 minutes every weekday morning. Maybe it's dedicating 15 minutes to practicing a new skill like coding or writing on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Perhaps it's simply checking your savings account balance for 1 minute each night before bed to build awareness. Find that one small thing. Schedule it into your calendar. Treat it like an unmissable appointment. And just commit to doing that one small thing consistently for the next 7 days. See how that tiny drumbeat starts to change the rhythm of your progress. Welcome to today's Transformation Dive, right here at Earn Flow Zone. Ever feel like you're stuck in neutral, watching everyone else speed past on the highway of financial success? Maybe you're waiting for that one big break, the huge inheritance, the unicorn job offer, or perhaps even hitting the lottery jackpot. Hey, a person can dream, right? It's easy to get caught up in the fantasy of instant wealth, but here's a bold truth. Waiting for the big win is often the most expensive financial strategy you can employ. It's like planning a marathon by waiting for a teleportation device instead of putting on your running shoes. You might look cool standing still, but you're definitely not covering any ground. In this zone, we're not about overnight miracles. We're about building sustainable wealth and an unstoppable mindset, one smart decision at a time. We're going to uncover the hidden costs of waiting and show you how the smallest, most consistent steps can actually create the massive shifts you desire. If you're ready to stop waiting and start building, if you're into real, actionable money and mindset content that cuts through the noise, hit like and subscribe. It helps way more than you think in getting this message out to others who need it. And hey, let's connect. Drop a comment with where you're watching from or your biggest money habit win, no matter how small you think it is. Your win could inspire someone else. Let's dive in and change the way you think about success, starting right now by looking at what happens when we don't take action. So, what's the actual cost of ignoring the power of small steps, especially when it comes to your finances and personal growth? It's not just about treading water or staying stuck in the same place, which is bad enough. It's the insidious, slow erosion of your potential, and even more damaging, your belief in yourself. Think about it. When you constantly wait for that lightning bolt moment, that huge win that will solve everything instantly, you are training your brain to be passive. You are reinforcing the idea, day after day, that you are powerless until external circumstances change dramatically, often through some unpredictable stroke of luck. That's a myth that keeps millions trapped. And while you're in this holding pattern, guess what you're missing out on? The compounding effect. Most people only think of compounding interest on money, like how Albert Einstein supposedly called it the eighth wonder of the world. But compounding applies just as powerfully, if not more so, to skill development, habit building, and confidence growth. Each small, consistent action you take doesn't just add up, it multiplies its effect over time. Every dollar saved, every book page read, every healthy meal eaten, every difficult conversation handled, they build on each other in ways you can't initially see. They don't just add to your life, they become the foundation for exponential growth. Consider two people who share a goal, saving $10,000. Person A waits. They talk about the 10K goal often, lamenting their current income and waiting for a mythical, high-paying job offer that will make saving easy. Once I get that big raise, they tell themselves, I'll start putting away $1,000 a month. Person B, however, starts small. They trim $50 from their weekly discretionary spending, maybe skipping a few coffees or packing lunch, and start saving that $50 every single week. It feels tiny, almost insignificant at first. Only $50? That's nothing towards 10 grand. But let's do the math. $50 a week is $2,600 a year. In roughly 4 years, the person taking those small, consistent steps hits the $10,000 goal. They gain not only the financial security of having that money, but crucially, the immense confidence and self-efficacy that comes from achieving a significant goal through their own discipline and effort. And person A, who was waiting for the perfect conditions, they are, more likely than not, still waiting, perhaps even more frustrated and less confident than before. The myth is that the only cost of inaction is staying exactly the same. The surprising truth, the one that should jolt you into action, is that the cost is exponential. You lose time, the most critical ingredient for compounding any kind of growth, financial, personal, professional. You lose momentum. Starting from zero is always harder than continuing. You lose confidence with every day you postpone meaningful action. And opportunities? They don't wait for you. They pass you by while you're on pause mode, waiting for permission or perfect timing. Your action right now. Reflect honestly. Where in your finances or your life goals are you waiting for a big win instead of taking a small, actionable step today? What is that waiting game costing you? Not just in potential money or results, but in feeling stuck, powerless, or even like a fraud. Be specific. Write it down. Acknowledging the cost is the first step to reclaiming your power. All right, we've walked through the eye-opening reality of what waiting truly costs. It's not just standing still. It's losing ground exponentially while others move forward. We've seen how even the smallest action, like saving $50 a week, can build significant wealth and, more importantly, significant confidence over time. The big takeaway here is simple, yet profoundly powerful. Consistency in small actions trumps intensity in sporadic bursts, every single time. It's not the massive leaps that build empires. It's the daily disciplines, the tiny habits, the seemingly insignificant choices made over and over again. Think of it like building a muscle. You don't get strong by lifting a car once a year. You get strong by lifting weights consistently, week after week, gradually increasing the load. That's the magic of compounding applied to your physical self. The exact same principle applies to your bank account, your skill set, and your resilience. By taking that small step today, tracking an expense, saving $5, learning one new word, doing one push-up. You're not just performing an isolated action. You're casting a vote for the person you want to become, for the future you want to create. Each vote adds up, strengthening your identity as someone who takes action, someone who is in control, someone who is building towards something real. The potential long-term benefit of embracing small steps is staggering. It's not just reaching a financial goal like $10,000 saved or a debt paid off. It's about building a foundation of capability and self-trust that will serve you for the rest of your life. It's about realizing you don't need permission or perfect circumstances to make progress. You already have everything you need to start, right here, right now. This leads to a deeper insight. Discipline isn't about punishment or restriction. It's about self-care and self-respect in advance. It's choosing what you want most over what you want now. By consistently taking small steps, you are caring for your future self, ensuring they have more options, more security, and more freedom. The power wasn't outside you, waiting for some external signal. It was always within your capacity for consistent, deliberate, even tiny action. In the end, your bank account will catch up to your mindset, not the other way around. We've covered a lot today under the Earn Flow Zone banner, diving deep into strategies for finances and growth. But let's circle back right here, right now. Remember that feeling? That heavy weight of being overwhelmed? Of staring at the mountain ahead, waiting for some magic trick, some lottery win, some sudden burst of motivation that will solve everything overnight? You know that feeling, because almost everyone embarking on this journey does. You feel stuck, paralyzed by the sheer scale of it all. But through these conversations, you've also uncovered the potent, perhaps unsexy, truth. The reality is, there is no magic solution. The true engine of change, the real catalyst for compounding wealth and personal growth, isn't a single massive leap. It's the consistent drumbeat of small, deliberate actions. We've dissected strategies for tackling debt, for building savings, for smart investing, and for developing valuable skills. And what threads them all together? What gives them their power? This very principle, the power of consistent, small actions. Think of it like building a colossal structure, block by tiny block, or running a marathon, one step at a time. The difference between where you are today and the vibrant, financially free future you envision isn't this terrifying, unbridgeable chasm you have to somehow superhumanly vault over. No, it's a path made not of giant strides, but of countless, manageable, even tiny steps. Your primary job right now isn't to map out the entire journey to the summit, or even see the hazy final destination clearly. Your job, your only job in this moment, is to identify and take the very next step on that path. That's it, just one step. Ignoring this lesson is where many get trapped in a self-perpetuating loop. They stay feeling stuck, perpetually waiting for external permission or the perfect conditions to align. I need more money to start investing, they say. I need more time to learn that skill. I need more luck. It's a narrative that keeps you sidelined. While you're waiting for the stars to align for that big action, you watch others, maybe people who started with fewer resources, less inherent advantage, steadily pass you by. Why? Because they embraced the power of consistency. They didn't let the search for the perfect, massive, impressive action become the enemy of the imperfect, tiny, actually moving forward action. Let's be crystal clear. The power isn't inherent in the size of the step you take. Paying an extra $10 on debt or saving $5 might feel insignificant in isolation. But the power is in taking that step, and then taking the next one, and the one after that. This principle is universally applicable. It holds true whether you're buried under a mountain of debt, living month to month, or actively building a multi-million-dollar enterprise. Consistent, focused, small actions are the bedrock upon which true, sustainable progress is built. The incredible truth is, you already possess everything you need to take the first step right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. What is that single, tiny, manageable action you can commit to taking today based on the insights we've shared? Something so small it feels almost laughable. Something that takes 15 minutes or less. Is it setting up that automatic transfer of $5 or $10 to a savings account? Making one extra $10 payment on a high-interest credit card? Scheduling just 20 minutes into your calendar to learn one single new concept about investing or a skill? Opening that budgeting app you downloaded for a mere 2 minutes to just look at it? Don't overthink it. Don't let perfectionism be the enemy of progress. Your power, your ability to enter that coveted earn flow zone where progress feels natural and inevitable, starts with that single, unsexy, powerful step you choose to take right now. This isn't about instant results. It's about initiating the chain reaction of compounding, both financially and personally. The long-term benefit of consistently taking these tiny steps is not just reaching your goals, but becoming the person who habitually moves towards them. It transforms your identity. Remember this: your bank account, your financial reality, your external success, it will eventually catch up to your mindset, not the other way around. Your mindset determines your actions, and your actions, however small and consistent, determine your results. The next tiny step isn't just a tactic, it's a testament to your commitment. So what tiny step will you take today to build the future you envision?